Good day, ma'am, sir. I'm Ben Garcia from BSMT Section 8. Identify safe and unsafe working practices on board the ship and correctly done personal protective equipment. Protective clothing. Protective clothing is a coverall which protects the body of the crew member from hazardous substances like hot oil, water, welding sparks, etc. It is popularly known as boiler suit. Number 2, helmet. The most important part of the body is head. It needs utmost protection, which is provided by a hard plastic helmet on the ship. A chin strap is also provided with the helmet, which keeps the helmet on place when there is a trip or fall. Number 3, safety shoes. Maximum of the internal space of the ship is utilized by cargo and machinery, which is made of hard metal and which make it clumsy for crew to walk around. Safety shoes ensure that nothing happens to the crew members feels while working and walking on. Safety hand gloves. Different types of hand gloves are provided on board ship. All these are used in operations wherein it becomes imperative to protect one's hands. Same of the gloves provided are his resistance gloves to work on hot surface, cotton gloves, formal operation, welding gloves, chemical gloves, and Number 5, goggles. Eyes are the most sensitive part of the human body, and in daily operations on ship, our chances are very high for having an eye injury. Protective glasses are used for eye protection, whereas welding glasses are used for welding operation, which protects the eye from high intensity. Number 6, ear muff or earplug. Engine room of the ship produces 110 to 120 dB of sounds, which is very high for human ears. Even the few minutes of exposure can lead to headache, irritation, and sometimes partial or full hearing loss. An ear muff or earplug is used on board ship, which dampens the noises of the variable decibel volume. Number 7, safety harness. Routine ship operation includes maintenance and painting of high and elevated surface, which requires crew members to reach areas that are not easily accessible to avoid a fall from such heightened areas. Harness is used. Safety harness is done by the operator at one end, failed at a strong point on the other. Or 8, face mask. Working on insulation surfaces, painting or carbon cleaning involves minor hazardous particles which are harmful for human body if inhaled directly. To avoid this, face masks are provided which acts as shield from hazardous particles. Number 9, chemical suit. Use of chemicals on board ship is very frequent, and some chemicals are very dangerous when they come in direct contact with humans' skin. A chemical suit is worn to avoid such situations. 10, welding shield. Welding is a very common operation on board ship for structural repairs. A welder is provided with a welding shield or mask which protects the eye from coming in direct contact with ultraviolet rays of the sparks of the weld. To work, or PTW, refers to management system used to ensure that work is done safely and efficiently. These are used in hazardous industries and involve procedures to request, review, authorize, document, and most importantly, the complete tasks to be carried out by frontline workers. Permit to work, an essential part of control of works. The integrated management of business critical maintenance process. Control of work is made up permit to work hazard identification and risk assessment and isolation management. Permits to work are a formal management system used to control high-risk activities. As part of the control safety measure, these are enable an assessment of risk to be made and to be specified control measures which be put in place in order to minimize the risk. It should mention the measures undertaken to make the job and safe. The safeguards that need to be taken during the operation. The permit should have a period of validity should not exceed 24 hours. Only the work of which the permit is prepared be undertaken and no other job should be. Risk aboardship. A risk assessment is simply an assessment of risk. It is an examination of a task or job that may be carried out on board to identify the presence of hazard that may cause harm to people, property, of the environment. Is risk management in shipping. ISO 8402-1995 or BS 4778 define risk management, which includes marine risk assessment as the process whereby decisions are made to accept or known or assessed risks and or the implementation of actions to reduce the consequences or probability of occurring. An enclosed space is defined as a space that has the following characteristics, where is an unsafe oxygen level and or toxic gas or other vapor. Limited openings per entry. IMO Resolution A1050-27 revised recommendations for entering enclosed spaces abroad ships 21 December 2011. International Maritime Organization regulatory guide. Precautions must be taken before entering an enclosed space. The confirmed space has to be well ventilated before entering. Enough time should be allowed to establish a ventilation system to ensure that air containing enough oxygen to sustain life is introduced. Ventilation can either be natural or mechanical using blowers. No entry to be permitted into an enclosed space unless the prescribed enclosed space entry procedures are followed and a permit to work issued. This must include a formal risk assessment to identify potential hazard and risk mitigation methods to control them accordingly. Enclosed space entry permit. This permit relates to entry into any enclosed space and should be completed by the master or responsible person and by any person entering the space, e.g. competent person and attendant. Permit should contain a clear indication as to its maximum period of validity, which should not exceed 8 hours. It should also describe the maximum permitted time but between testing of the atmosphere and the entry of personnel into the hazard associated confined spaces include toxic atmosphere. A toxic atmosphere may cause various acute effects including impairment of judgment, unconsciousness, and death. Oxygen deficiency, oxygen enrichment, flammable or explosive atmospheres, flowing liquid or free-flowing solids, excessive heat. Do you rescue someone from enclosed space? The rescue entering the enclosed space must wear an SCBA and carry an EEBD and rescue harness. For casualty use, they should be in continuous communication with the rescue supervisor who should appraise the master of the events. Personnel should be allocated to relieve or back up the rescue. What precaution must be taken before entering an enclosed space? The confirmed space has to be well ventilated before entering. Enough time should be allowed to establish a ventilation system to ensure that air conditioning enough oxygen to sustain life is introduced. Ventilation can either be natural or mechanical using blowers. Lack of oxygen. The acceptable range of oxygen in an enclosed space is between 19.5% to 23.55 oxygen in any compartment can reduce due to many factors. Rusting of steel part is the most common one.